Welcome back to the WAC basketball preview presented by Hercules Tires. I'm Rachel Vigil, now joined by Dan Nielson, the head coach of women's basketball at Utah Valley, as well as junior center Josie Williams. How are you both? Can you hear me?
Wow, we got you now. We can hear you.
Perfect. How are you?
You know, we're doing well. Just glad it's warming up a little bit here today. It's been cold the last couple of days, and right when we're done here, we'll go straight into practice. So we're doing well.
Here in Denver, we got some snow. What about in Orem?
We got a little bit. You know, I've lived here for 20 years, but I grew up in Texas, and so every time it snows, it still makes me mad. So just a little bit, but it's all gone now. We're all right.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you, last year, the preseason coaches poll, you were picked 5th. This year, you're picked to win the whole thing. What was the initial reaction from you when you saw that?
You know, it probably comes across as like coach speak, but it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, just like you said, last year I think we were picked 6th in one and 7th in the other, and we were able to finish tied for 2nd. And this year, I think it more speaks to the parity in the league. You know, we didn't get the most first place votes. Cal Baptist did. And so I think it just shows there was a wide range of voting. And, you know, a lot of people aren't sure, which could make for a fun league this year where I think it's up for grabs. And obviously we're confident we'll have a chance. But by no means would I say that poll really means anything. So,
Josie, you get that nod for the first place. What will it take to bring home the regular season championship year?
I think for us, it's just going to take a lot of consistency through our whole bench. I think this year we have a lot of depth, and utilizing that I think will be a big key factor in that. And so we're just excited and ready to play.
What are practices looking like now in Orem?
I mean, for us, you know, we've been really lucky throughout, you know, once we were able to get going in the summer, kind of mid-July, we've been lucky with the protocols we have in place. We've been able to stay healthy and safe, and just had one little minor shutdown in August. But since then, we've been able to be on the court and getting after it. And so for us, we feel really lucky that for the most part, things are as normal as can be. You know, maybe not right now. They're starting practice. They're probably enjoying it because I'm not in there. So it might be a little weird for them right now. But no, it's been really good. And like Josie said, I think with our depth this year, our practices have been a little more competitive, which has been positive. I think it's helping us to improve and be ready for league play.
Josie, with Coach not being there, how have you had to step up in the leadership role?
Coach, he hasn't not been there a lot, but I think for me as a leader, it's been a good opportunity for me to hold me accountable, but also just being a good teammate to my teammates and helping them in the best way that they can with everything that's kind of been crazy right now. So just I already said something about consistency, but for me to be consistent, I think it'll help our team to be consistent. So yeah.
Coach, what can you tell us about the non-conference slate?
Yeah, we're really excited about it. We should be releasing it here in the next little bit. You know, with everybody scrambling to get stuff done, we're trying to get some contracts done. But we're really excited about. We got some really competitive games. Been able to keep things mostly regional to avoid lots of travel. But we have some really competitive games with a lot of our in-state teams and kind of regional teams. I think Pac-12 game, West Coast Conference, some Mountain West games. So we're excited. We want to push ourselves and play teams that'll make us ready for conference. It's always a fine line of scheduling games. You're like, hey, that's a for sure win or not. But for us, our goal is to try and win the WAC every year. To be prepared for that, I think we have to play teams that'll push us outside our comfort zone. So we're definitely doing that. We have all 9 games scheduled for the preseason, and we'll keep our fingers crossed we get to play most of them.
Dixie State is now part of the WAC, which is just a short car ride for all of you. What are the odds that we get a traveling trophy between the two schools?
I'll have to talk to my boss, to Jared Sumption, our athletic director, about that. I think that'd be a good idea. If not a trophy, we can probably find some sort of wrestling belt or something in the interim and make it fun. But no, I'm excited to have Dixie in the league. I think rivalries are fun. I love going to St. George, and I've known their coach JD for a long, long time. For probably 15 plus years, and he does a heck of a job. And just excited to play those guys. They have a lot of players, from the state that we know, and so rivalries are good. I think you get more people out to those games, and I think for women's basketball that would be not just great for the WAC, but in our state, kind of building up the following women's basketball has. So I'm really, really excited to have them in the league with us.
Josie is coach 2 for Coach Nielson. What makes it so easy to buy into his programs?
Well, for me personally, it's him and it's also his supporting assistant coaches. They do such a good job of setting the tone in practices and in games of just what we want to accomplish. And I think they make the goal clear that we want to be competitive and we want to be a program, not just in Utah, but in the country that competes and wins championships. And I think that they've done a really good job of setting that tone and that culture for us as players to follow. And they've recruited, I think, the pieces that we need to do that. So.
That's
were named.
Josie gave a great PC answer there. They all put up with my bad jokes, and they want to play hard so they don't have to hear more of them. So that's really what it is.
That's true too.
Well, Josie, you were named to the first team All WAC team for preseason. What about your game last year ultimately led coaches to vote you in this year?
I think just being a post presence down low probably led them to that. But I think more this year, I think we lost some contributing factors. And I think that Maria, myself, and a lot of the rest of us are going to have to fill those shoes. And I think we're more than capable of doing that. And so, yeah.
Which matchup are you looking forward to most?
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play Dixie because they're in state and like Coach was saying about the rivalry, but I also think it'll be fun to play Cal Baptist. Really anyone. I'm just excited to play again and grateful that we have the opportunity to.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I'm now going to send it over to Michael Naravete to do media questions.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. I'll let Kylee McDonald go ahead and get things started.
Dan, this is a question for you. Last year, you came in, basically changed the defensive culture in your first year from, they played zone defense for however long under Kathy Nixon. You changed it to man-to-man. And you said it was kind of a growing process. Now that you're in your second year, where do you feel like the team is with regard to that switch in defensive philosophy?
Yeah, and Kyle, thanks for hopping on, man. We appreciate all your coverage of the conference. Last year it was a struggle initially, but we stayed bought in and really proud of the girls for what they did. I think you saw that kind of success start to happen there in conference. And right now, I would say, we feel like we're farther ahead than we were like at the beginning of conference already at this point this year. The returners know what we expect, and so they're able to kind of set that tone and culture defensively. And our newcomers have really bought in. They have high basketball IQ, which is important for us in recruiting. And so they're able to kind of catch on quickly. And it's made practices easier. We're actually able to move a little faster and put in a little bit more difficult concepts so that we have more available for us defensively. So we're really excited. That's always going to be a staple for us as game prep and defense. So I'm sure they get tired of doing some of the same drills, but it pays off with wins. So we're not going to quit doing it. Sorry, Josie.
Hey, I'll send it to Jared Lloyd.
Good to see you guys both here for the media teleconference. I wanted to ask about Cohesion. You got a number of returners as well as a number of newcomers, and this pandemic has made it somewhat unique as far as developing a team. And you mentioned that you've been able to keep everybody healthy and participating, which is big. How do you feel like the cohesion is coming together, both from a coach standpoint and from a player standpoint?
I'll let Josie, you can take that first.
Obviously this year's been unpredictable and different, like everyone has already mentioned. Cohesion and culture-wise, I think that our team, I think that we've come together nicely, and I think it's been we have some in-state players that I've previously known, played against in high school. Then we have some out-of-state players, and then the returners. And I think that we all have a level of respect for each other that with that common goal that the coaches have set. And I think that because of that, we are all on the same page and ready to do whatever it takes to reach that goal. And so it's been fun. The girls are fun. It's just been good so far, and we're just hoping to continue to grow and strengthen that cohesion. So.
Yeah, Jared, from our end, and Jared, I do have to say I'm surprised you're on here. You're mirroring the Jazz's sales, so this is just as important to you. So I appreciate that, Jared. But no, for us, cohesion, it's a huge part of what we're doing. You know, our goal when we got here was to create depth. So we're not relying on just one or two players. And to do that, obviously you have to have talent, but you also have to have a group that buys in to a real team first mentality. And, you know, I've said it a couple other places, but I think this year our team probably won't have a, 18, 20 point scorer, but I would guess we'll have, if things are going like I think they will, we'll have, 5 or 6 people averaging between, 9 and 13 points, which really is our goal, where it's hard to key on one player. And, basketball wise, we're seeing that come together. Everybody's bought in, at least right now, to the idea of team first basketball, but off the court, I think that's where this team is really fun. Got a ton of different personalities, but they mesh so well. Because like Josie said, our thing is always, we don't have time for drama here. And so everything is just about, you love and respect everybody. And when you do that, you can do special things. And so this team so far has done a great job of that. And we're just going to hopefully continue it.
Back to Kylee McDonald.
Josie, this is for you. So yesterday, Kesley Stevenson was on when Dixie State was on the media call, and she talked about how she's excited to play against you this year, again, considering that you guys played a little bit against each other in high school and so forth. Does that make – and you said you're looking forward to playing Dixie State probably the most this year. Is that part of the reason? And she said that on the court, you're going to be opponents, you're going to battle, you're going to do stuff. Off the court, you'll be friends. But, is that kind of what makes that special?
Yeah, Kes and I were good friends. We grew up playing on the same comp team, and then we played against each other in high school. And then I know a few other girls on Dixie's team, and they're great friends. And so I just think in high school it was a lot of fun to play against them and kind of build that rivalry, but also have that friendship off the court. And so I think, like Kesley said, it's going to be fun once we step in those lines. It's going to be, like she said, game on, but off the court it's going to be fun. And like Dan was saying, it'll just be fun to build that rivalry and hopefully get some more fans out to our games. So,
Jared Lloyd.
You got to remember, Dan, you guys are Utah Valley, and I'm a Utah Valley guy. The Jazz are up in Salt Lake. We'll take care of them later. So
I like it.
No, but I wanted to ask about consistency as well. Talk cohesion, but last year you guys had moments where the team everything was clicking, and then there were times that kind of got away from you a little bit, and maybe things didn't work out quite as well. What do you have to do to be able to enhance that consistency level and play at that high level more often?
I think it starts really, with our expectations as coaches and setting that standard of what we expect. And then I think the next thing is trying to create as many of those situations in practice as possible. We do a lot of situational stuff at the end of practices. I'm sure the girls get tired of me talking, but I stop things constantly to point out, like, hey, this is a situation like, this game last year. You have a choice here. Do we set a better screen and execute, or do we try and do our own thing and separate and play as individuals? And kind of pointing out those times, I think is helpful for them, where they can recognize and they get in those moments and say, hey, we've talked about this, we're prepared for this. And instead of it being, hey, we're playing well, everything's going well, that's easy when everything's going right. It's when things are hard, when you make a mistake, your back's against the wall, that you have to be willing to do that and stick together. And so I think it's up to us as coaches to set those expectations, create the environment where they can learn and be prepared for those situations. And then I think the next thing is really just confidence. Knowing that you have a group of people behind you that believe in you, that trust you can do it. And I think we're on the right track. And I think last year we were able to up our game competitively. I think we became a more competitive team, like in practice and in games. So hopefully we're going to get to the point where, we don't, start out 1-9, win 7 games in a row, lose 4 games in a row, win 4 out of 5. We don't want to do that. We want it to be consistent. And that's definitely a goal of ours. And we're trying to replicate that in practice. And, if Josie makes a few baskets down the stretch, we'll be all right. So.
Kylee McDonald.
Dan, you guys got a lot. You talked about it earlier. Your roster, you brought in a lot of new players, but you have depth, kind of like what the men's team, what Mark Madison did with the men's team. How important is that, especially now with playing back-to-back nights? And if there's ever a hiccup with like a COVID test or something else, that you have confidence in the fact that you are really too deep at a lot of positions.
Yeah, I mean, that, like I said before, that was a huge thing. I mean, day one when I got the job last year was you have to have depth, and that's for a multitude of reasons. You got to push the people in front of you, make them better, give them reason to improve and not slack. But yeah, I mean, this year it's going to be highlighted even more with COVID stuff, playing back to back, where maybe on the Friday game somebody plays big minutes. That next day, they're the quote unquote backup's got to be ready to step in. And we really have focused on that, where we look down our roster and say, hey, this person could just as easily step up and play big minutes in this game. And so proud of my staff for putting in the time and recruiting and kind of identifying people that can help us with that. And then especially the players returning, just really exciting how to see their progress and how much they've improved from Josie, Maria, Meg has improved a ton from last year. I mean, I could go down and name literally everybody. But we're really excited about that depth. And I think it'll be key this year because really other than, I'm not sure about Tarleton, but I know Dixie in their league last year in D2, they played back-to-back, so they might be prepared for it. But other teams, it'll be a little different where normally the only time we play back-to-backs is in the tournament. So it'll be a little bit of adjustment, but we'll be prepared for it and just excited we get to play.
Chris Thompson.
With the way last season ended and the uncertainty that we've all faced since then, what feelings come to mind when you think about getting on the floor against another team and just getting to play basketball?
I know for me, and I'll let Josie give an answer after this. We'll get her opinion. From my vantage point, we've been practicing against each other long enough. I think the girls are getting sick of playing each other. I think they're ready to play somebody else. But, as a competitor, you want to see where you're at. And so right now, obviously, every coach probably feels pretty good about things. You watch yourself in practice. But, until you get out there and you can gauge against somebody else, it's tough. So we're just thrilled. In the middle of the summer, we were like, who knows if we're going to play. So the fact that we're here doing this, talking about it, that we have a schedule, we're just really excited and feel really grateful that we're going to be able to do that. But I'll let Josie answer that question if she's ready to play somebody else.
I think it's exactly what Coach said. I mean, we've been playing each other every day for the past how many months?
4 or 5.
I don't know, 4 or 5. And it's been great and fun, but I can speak for the rest of my teammates. I know when I say this, we're ready to get after someone else rather than just ourselves. So we're excited and just ready for whenever that comes. If it's the 25th or whenever it is, we're excited.
Kylee McDonald.
Last question. So the men are going paintballing today, breaking up in the teams and shooting at each other. Do you guys do anything crazy like that to break up the monotony of being on the basketball floor?
Let's see, when was it, Joe? It's like maybe a few weeks ago, we canceled practice and we went and played pickleball and had a little tournament there, championship. It was fun. It was fun until I lost. I realized there's a bunch of ringers on my team. I would have picked a different sport. We got a few people that have played way too much pickleball. It makes me question if they've been shooting enough. I don't know when they have time to do it. But no, it was a blast going up there and playing. And we went to a bunch of courts by my house. And so my wife and 3-year-old are there too. And so it's fun to have them interact with my family and see them kind of compete in something else. And so we try and do that every now and again. We're not paintballing today. In fact, it worked out the men paintballing. We can do our media day now in the newbie. So we'll do that. But we got a few other things in store. We do our traditional Halloween chili night at my house here soon. So I like to pretend it's because the girls like to hang out with me, but really they just love my wife's chili. So
It's true.
Okay, great. Head coach for Utah Valley, Dan Nielson, and junior center Josie Williams. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys.